Welcome to the Select Board meeting on January 12th, 2026. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Select Board is being conducted both in person and remotely, consistent with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, which suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed to participate remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, dial 1-408-650-3123 and use access code 235-235-861. Or the public can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/235-235-861. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. Is anyone else recording tonight's meeting? Okay. Please stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're on the second item on the agenda, public comments. Jeff McElroy? Just identify yourself.
I am Jeff McElroy. I'm the chairman of the Auburn Republican Town Committee. Members of the Auburn Select Board, on behalf of the Auburn Republican Town Committee, I want to express our concern over the inappropriate actions of Selectman Todd Corain at the behest of a former member of the board, Tristan LaLiberty, at your December 8, 2025 meeting. As you may recall, you all received a request from Mr. LaLiberty to read a purely political email attacking one specific elected official and a blatant act of political gamesmanship during the Select Board meeting. To most of your credit, 4 of you chose not to address this partisan attack during the meeting. It was with great disappointment, however, that Mr. Corain, as a member and vice chair, chose to indulge Mr. LaLiberty's request and read the letter in its entirety during the meeting. We understand it was during citizen speak, but he still crossed the line as a selectman. The Select Board is not a place for partisan bickering. It is supposed to be a nonpartisan board and not an extension of one or other political party. What members do on their personal time is, of course, their business, but this was not their time. We respect Mr. LaLiberty's military service to our nation, and he's, of course, welcome to suggest to the town seek action on climate change via a letter while he is stationed abroad. While we do feel his tone was over the top and very alarmist, especially following one of the coldest winters or Decembers in 25 years, we understand that he is entitled to his opinion on such matters. If his letter was limited to just this, we would not be addressing this matter with you. What we object to was somehow tying this global issue to one member of the state legislature and going off on a political tangent against them that had essentially nothing to do with the issue. The timing of this incident also cannot be ignored, as it took place at the same time that another individual publicly supported by Mr. LaLiberty had announced his candidacy for election versus the Republican official targeted by the letter in question. Although Mr. LaLiberty's letter comes off as unhinged, we once again want to make it clear that our objection to it being read was not with regard to his call to action, but rather to his blatant and unrelated partisan digs at a respected Republican elected official and Auburn resident. This is a terrible precedent that Mr. Corain has indulged, and we find his participation in this act of political gamesmanship shameful. Select Board meetings are not letters to the editor, social media posts, or political campaign forums. We hope that Mr. Corain will apologize and recognize his mistake. Such an apology does not need to be directed to our state representative, nor to us, nor to our fellow Republicans in town, but rather to everyone in the community of all political persuasions, acknowledging that his role in the playing of partisan politics was an inappropriate and unacceptable form of discourse in a town meeting. We implore you to avoid going down a path of political gamesmanship, which hurts everyone and distracts from the job you are all elected to do. Let's keep our Auburn Select Board meetings nonpartisan and non-political. Thank you for allowing us to express this concern to you all and for hopefully addressing this matter in the future. Respectfully, Jeff McElroy, Chair of the Auburn Republican Town Committee.
Thank you. Next, we have Tim Daly. Oh, no, you can't. Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
And just identify yourself also, please.
Okay. My name is Tim Daly. I live at 25 Rockland Road, obviously in Auburn. I came to this board 22 months ago regarding 47 and 49 Rockland Road. After 22 months, there is no final plan for this property. We've had a lot of meetings that have been postponed because the engineers weren't ready or for various reasons. So we're still far behind and we have no plan for that property. We're still facing the fact that we have 30 to 40 trucks per day coming in and out at all times. We basically have gone from small box trucks to medium box trucks to 18-wheelers. After the 22 months, it's now gone from big box trucks, bigger box trucks, and 35 and 53-foot trailers with sleeper cabs. So we've really progressed in the neighborhood, not to our advantage. There have been many violations regarding the hours of operation. And I'll give you an example. The hours are 7 to 6, Monday through Friday, and 8 to 1 on Saturday. There is a private truck hour, 1 hour, 1 truck per hour from 9 to 5 on Monday through Friday that was agreed to by the Arbor Recycling. They don't quite go by that. We did a traffic study and they had 9 violations in the first hour. So they're not paying attention to anything that goes on. And I just have a couple of other things. The 1969 variance states specifically about the premise. And I looked up the definition of a premise is an area of land with the building that it's on. So the 1965 variance should include the premise and the building. But no one seems to understand that it only includes the building, but we don't agree with that because the building is on the premise. This business cannot exist without trucks, which we know that are 30 to 40 a day. We feel that the premise should be entailed with the trucks. That should be included. The truck should be included in the premise, which would put them in a violation of the variance. I just would like to add finally that if this was happening on a street where you live, you would feel the same way that we feel and be strong about that this business does not belong on our neighborhood street, in our neighborhood, in an RA zone, and it's ruining the neighborhood and it's ruining the streets. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dick Chandler is next.
Good evening, Dick Chandler from 35 Rockland Road and 1 Brook Road. I am here tonight following up Mr. Daly's remarks heard earlier, and for something I've never thought I'd ever have to do, but we have been left with no other option. The operatives of a recycling company at 47 and 49 Rockland Road came into town in 2023 and have been operating as they please with little or no concern about the town bylaws or the residential neighborhood they're in, which is an RA zone residence. They must be stopped. With this having been said, I'm asking through the chair the select board make a motion to issue a cease and desist order with a second to that motion that will prevent any more work from taking place at this site with any and all permits and plans submitted to the proper boards and committees, reviewed and approved or not. This order would take effect 10 days from tonight at 12:01 a.m. on January 22nd, 2026. This 10-day time period would allow Arbor Recycling time to notify their customers and allow them time to take control and arrangements there for the recycling needs. Also, at this time, I would ask the board to make a second motion to implement a monetary fine system where any failure to adhere to the cease and desist order would trigger penalties. I would suggest that the first infraction would be $200 per day, the second infraction would be $500 per day, and any and all additional infractions would be $1,000 per day until any and all issues have been satisfied to the town liking as per the order projection conceals. This project and the cease and desist mandate would be overseen and controlled by the Department of Development and Inspectional Services, as well as the Auburn Police Department, if necessary. Any monies collected from said fines would be deposited into a separate bank account and held until the project is fully approved. Said monies would be used at that time to offset any expenses relating to the overseeing of this project. Respectfully, Richard Chandler.
Thank you. All right, next we have Eric Richard. So maybe you should just give it to him.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
My name is Eric Richards. I'm an Auburn resident, and I'm here to ask the Board of Selectmen to provide independent oversight of school district funds relating to student dues, activities, sports teams, etc. Because the school committee has failed to provide the oversight necessary for 6 years, despite clear, in-text, written findings from 6 years of retained outside professionals. On January 7th, 2026, the school committee held a meeting regarding a citizen's public records request. I watched the entire meeting. Here is what they admitted to on video. The 2018 audit found problems. Nothing was fixed. The same problems essentially persisted the same way for 6 years. And because of the nature of the limited scope agreement that the school committee said, we'll allow you to look at these accounts in this specific way and with very limited follow-up or ability to flag a follow-on to answer questions so that we could check the Chapter 47 box of the Mass General Law and with a straight face stand up and say, we did that. See, here's the paper, it proves it. Fast forward, the 2024 audit found the same problems, and the school committee still was not told for 18 months by professional staff the findings. Our superintendent said no one had a real eye on these accounts. Our school district business manager said beginning balances from 2019, we don't have the complete records to know if they were correct. Those are not my claims. Those are their admissions on video. Now, the numbers. The 2024 audit document, or I can't really call it an audit, it's really a limited scope engagement with a third-party financial firm, documents a $21,170 variance at Auburn High School at a lower level of accounting. Should be noted that that variance had different numbers from 2018, but variances still persisted and remained and were not followed up on diligently. And a $133,575 unidentified variance at the town treasurer level, again, persisting within $1,000 for 6 years. You cannot say there's zero evidence of missing money while admitting the records are unavailable and the alleged audit shows six-figure variances for 6 years. That's not an explanation, it's a contradiction. The public records request a citizen made asked for 7 years of detailed records and transaction level data. It was not provided. What was produced 2 already public audit reports, which we've discussed, and what was not produced, the line-by-line transaction data, the reconciliations, and complete answers before 2024. Remember, there's a 7-year period there. That's not explanation, it's contradiction. The public records request continued, and these key points were addressed by the school committee. We've now found a school committee who is reviewing their own oversight failures, all 6 years of them. That is a clear conflict of interest. The select board does not have that conflict. These funds sit with the town treasurer, which makes this a municipal responsibility. So I'm requesting these actions. 1, authorize an independent forensic audit of all student-related funds by an outside firm not previously engaged for such a task by the town, for all fiscal years to at least 2018 through 2025. Demand full production of all transaction-level records, not summaries. Direct the Finance Committee to review all associated accounts line by line and verify the accounting and the findings. Follow the audit or whatever's found to a conclusion, whatever that is. One final reality check. When residents ask for records and get insults, labels, or calm down instead of documents, it tells the audience everything they need to know. The evidence is the problem, not the messenger. If the facts are clean, you don't need personal attacks, labels, or anything else. You provide them, and you say, Mr. Richards, this is where you're mistaken. Here you go. Easy peasy. Let me walk you through it. It's never happened. If these records could support the confidence being advertised, publish them. Since you already have them, and you readily claim that you do, tomorrow works. Let's see them. If they do not, let's stop asking Auburn to take it on faith. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Richards. Next, Mr. Rafferty.
Good evening, everyone. Happy 2026. Over the past year, I have filed 6 or 7 open meeting complaints against the town. As a result, I've done a lot of researching, and I think I understand the law pretty good as a layman. Some of my complaints have been valid. How do I know this? The Zoning Board of Appeals discontinued their hybrid meetings because they just couldn't get it right. They realized that they had made a mistake. As a result of my complaints, I'm pretty sure the town did initiate some additional training on open meeting law for all town employees and elected officials. I'm not sure why they would do that unless they thought there was a problem. There seems to be opinion out there that you can't speak at school committee meetings outside of the public comment. Mr. Richards, who just spoke prior to me, was shut out from speaking on an issue that he is concerned about. I feel that that was completely inappropriate. And to substantiate that, I'll read some of my research quickly off the internet. From the Massachusetts Select Board Handbook, from the Mass Municipal Association. The public and the press have a right to be present at open meeting, but they do not have a right to participate unless the chair recognizes them. So if the chair recognizes them, they can speak. That's logical. Unless the meeting is a formal public hearing or a town meeting where participation is required, While the open meeting law ensures public access, it doesn't automatically grant the right to speak. Local rules and the chair's recognition are key. Though the Attorney General's office encourages participation. The Digital Media Law Project. The open meeting law does not give the public a right to participate or comment during open meetings. As a matter of practice, however, in Massachusetts, public bodies are often allow members of the public to comment during public meetings. No one may address a public meeting of a public body without permission of the presiding officer. So if the presiding officer gives permission, logically, I guess they could speak. And a couple other notes. Although the open meeting law does not require public bodies to allow public comment during meetings, the Attorney General's office encourages public bodies to allow for as much public participation as time and circumstances permit. And while the public is permitted to attend an open meeting, an individual may not address the public body without the permission of the chair. And the other night, the school chair decided not to give Mr. Eriks the right to participate. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rafferty. Next, we have Steve Consilvio.
Hello, Steve Consilvio, Precinct 1. I learned that there was a agenda item to discuss or perhaps form a committee to investigate property tax. And I just wanted to say that's a good idea because we should study where money comes from as much as how we spend it. We spend a lot of time, I'm on the Finance Committee, we spend a lot of time figuring out how to spend money. But we have a lot of complaints and mistrust and confusion on taxes, and it's a 1,000-year-old problem. And I think it's great if a town would investigate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda, let's see, presentations and public hearings. We're going to have a public hearing and a board vote on National Grid poll petition for joint or identical poll locations on Walsh Ave.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have anyone to speak? Oh, anyone to speak about it? Okay, so we have documents. Okay, hold on.
Here with National Grid, if you need me to talk about them.
Okay, great. Could you identify yourself, but also just speak a little louder, too?
Okay, yeah, my name is Robert Williams. I work for National Grid. I'm here for the petition hearing today. And if there's any questions, I can
Okay, so
elaborate.
can you tell us what the request is for?
We have 2 poles that we're looking to relocate to the other side of the road. Just due to them being in a bad location right now within a wetlands that they're not exactly secured. So there was a guy wire that was holding it up that got damaged. So we're trying to move them into a better spot, put up new poles in a better spot.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Does the public have any questions? No?
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, please come up. I didn't see you. Yep. You can go to the podium if you have a comment. Thank you. And just identify yourself also, please.
Yes, I'm Arlene Peachy at 27 Walsh Ave, and I'm just wondering why they're doing this. And is it going to interrupt our electricity while they do it?
Okay, so, Mr. Oleans, did you hear that?
No.
Sir, our National Grid representative, did you hear the question?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're doing this to move the two poles, pole 9 and 8, across the road to put them in a better spot where they're more structurally supported in a better location. And there might be a slight outage for a short amount of time just when they switch over the secondaries, but they can do it a lot of the work while the lines are still energized. So it wouldn't be leaving a long outage duration. They do live line work all the time.
Do you have any other questions?
No, that was it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may ask a question, just to
Yep.
follow up on that. When are you proposing to do this work?
I don't know what day this work would be scheduled or if they have a scheduled date yet. Where we need the petitions approved before they can schedule the work.
Okay, yeah, it's just another question. Given the fact that we are in the middle of winter, and although today was a seasonably warm day, are there standards that your company has with respect to not doing this work based on certain temperatures? Because with the necessary outage, it could affect residential heat.
I would think that they wouldn't be, if they were going to do an outage, they would have to notify people of an actual outage and how long the duration would be. That's assuming that there would be an outage. With this kind of work, they could possibly just leave everything energized and just cut it over. Unfortunately, I don't have a direct answer for your question, but if there is going to be an outage, there would be the customers who would be put out for a duration would be notified.
So Madam Chair, if I may, through you, if I may ask the question in a different way. Is this work that can wait until April or May when the weather, when any possible outage would not negatively affect the temperatures within a house?
I don't know exactly when this work needs to be done and if there's a immediate date that it needs to be done, so I couldn't answer that question. If you need the more clarification, we can, I can work on trying to get that for you. And then if you guys schedule another hearing, we can come out and try to clarify that. But for now, I couldn't give you an accurate answer for that question.
Yeah, I would just say that I don't want to speak for, I'm only speaking for myself and not the other members. I'm not, until I have an answer to that question with respect to whether this work can wait or if there's some eminent need to do it sooner, and the impact on the residents, even if it's a short-term impact, I'm not prepared to vote in favor of this.
Any other comments?
I don't think we'd get that information because they have to schedule it, so it's National Grid, it's going to take a while, and if there's a substantial objection for other reasons, they don't typically do that. They would provide the notice. I've been a recipient of those notices before, all not ideal, and we're not positive it's actually going to even be an outage. If there's enough slack in that line, they typically can do it without anything. And I'm not a big fan of the utility companies in general, but I've held things up in the past with the same result, is what I'm trying to say.
Just speaking for myself and my experience in my day job, if a town or municipality pushes enough, they can get those answers. But I will defer to the other members of the board.
Another public comment, sir?
Danny Largest, Perry Place. Has anybody taken into consideration that Auburn Youth and Family Services is down there? And I do believe they still run the food pantry. I'm not sure if they have refrigerated products there. Also, Yongxing Restaurant. So I think a timeline of if they were going to cut the power would have to be to a very minimum, or possibly maybe even generators brought in. Is that something National Grid might be able to do?
Well, so National Grid doesn't want to put people out of power. They would rather this work, they would rather limit the amount of time that customers are out and prevent it completely if possible. So if you need a clarification as to with this in particular work about if there, how long the duration of outage would be and if there even will be an outage, I think we could provide that.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, any other questions from the audience? No?
Madam Chair, can I make a motion to hold open the public meeting until our next available meeting so that we can hopefully get these answers before we close the public hearing and take a vote?
Is there a second?
Second.
So we have a motion is vote. So we have two motions on the floor because the other, the first motion to close the hearing.
I'll withdraw my motion to close the
Okay.
public hearing.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So that will be held over to our next meeting. All right, now we have next another public hearing, a board vote in the Class 2 motor vehicle license for Easy Car Motors LLC at 85 South Street, Auburn, Mass. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. All right. Is someone here from the business to speak? And just identify yourselves when you go up there too, please.
I'm Gabriel Claudino. The project location is 85 South Street. And I brought my friend Louis to talk about it. I'm not really good at talking, so yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna do.
That's why I'm here. My name is Louis Dengue. I am a managing partner as well at Easy Car Motors.
Okay. So is this a new business?
Correct.
Do we have any questions for these gentlemen?
Do you intend to do any repairs on this site?
No, there is no facility, but I can have Manny explain better.
It's no facility for us to car wash or repair that. You just sell.
Okay. And then the parking lot, do you have plans to repave that parking lot? I know it's not in the best shape.
Yes, we're gonna do the best. We're gonna repave that, but you have to get a better weather to start it.
And then with that plan as well, are you guys planning to put in some additional like interceptors or something to catch the oil with the amount of cars that will be anticipated on that lot, or just repave with no infrastructure upgrades?
No, actually, when you're gonna bring the cars for sale to the public, the cars will be run to the shopping, and we're gonna make sure they have no leak or nothing. If they have something like that, we're gonna make sure we're gonna prepare. We're gonna have a chemical to to protect the ground.
And how do the cars get to the site? Will they be from a
Are
hauler?
we're gonna bring to the auction, we're gonna buy it to the shopping or wash and bring the cars ready to put it up front. We're gonna drive. We're not gonna transportation. You're not gonna use the transport to get there. We're gonna,
Individually?
yes, individual, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to, just for the public purposes, I just want to confirm, and I already know the answer because I was at the meeting, but you've already received your approvals from the planning board, correct? Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. What is your name, sir, for the record?
Oh, my name is Manny Nascimento.
Okay, thank you. And my other question is there a limit on the number of cars that you can have for sale at the site based on size?
Yeah, it's just gonna be it's gonna be like 38 cars. It's gonna be 3 spot for customer and 3 spot for employees.
You said 38?
Yes, all included.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Does anyone from the audience have any questions? Yes, sir, come on up. Do you want us to come up here, or? Yeah. All right.
Hi, good evening, Robert Tatro. I am not an abutter, but I have some concerns about this application. I'm certainly not against these gentlemen opening a car lot at this particular location, but I'd just like to keep in mind for the board that it's a substantial change to the use of that business that's been a food establishment for all these years, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then we're going into a used car lot, and all the used car lots on 20, or in new lots for that matter, they're required to put aquifer protection infrastructure under the lots, which is a substantial cost. I'm not suggesting that maybe in this particular case, the board is going to, weigh on that, but I believe that a few of these bylaws were looked at and sort of rescheduled by the Zoning Bylaw Review Committee, and I believe this one might have been one of those. This technically should probably fall under the zoning board because it's under an aquifer protection district. And again, I think it was rescheduled mistakenly. I'm not saying it was or it wasn't, but I have reason to believe it might have been. So again, I don't have a problem with them opening the business there. I have no problem with that, but I would consider the infrastructure under the lot is probably not prepared to manage the type of used car issues, leaking, antifreeze, oil, transmission fluid. And again, I know that their best interest is in mine, and I would prefer, if I owned a used car lot, I would want the simple car that's prepared to go on the lot and resell. We know that. And truthfully, in fairness, most cars these days are much better engineered and much better for the long run. They don't leak as much as they did back in the 70s. There's no gas puddles when you leave the lot or anything like that, but still, there's a potential. We only get to mess up our water supply one time, right? So that's all I wanted to say. Please take consideration that this is a substantial change to that use of business. Thank you.
Wait, may I just confirm, Mr. Tatro, may I just confirm, as Mr. Crane asked, the planning board has given them their approval for this, correct?
I have not, I'm on the zoning board, so it has not
No,
come from
but
the zoning board.
Yes, yes, the planning board has.
Okay.
Okay, and they did, but they do site plan approval, and they don't necessarily do aquifer protection, which is under the surface. So I think there's two different things there, that's all. Just take into consideration, I just want me to be fully informed is all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, based off of Mr. Tatro's comments and concerns with the proper process for this business, we have staff here from DDIS, Inspectional Services, as well as Planning. Can you just confirm that this business went through the proper channels with respect to going to the Planning Board and not the ZBA?
Okay, sir.
I'm Gary Allard, the zoning enforcement officer. Yes, this was looked at by myself and Adam, town planner at this time. And the reason that it did not have to go through the process with the infiltration like that is there was absolutely no site work being done. And they're using existing parking lot as is. If they do go to repave this, rework this parking lot, they were informed that they will have to deal with that with DPW and handle the infiltrators at that time.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, if I may, if they repave, they would need to go through the process, but we're
Yeah, well, yeah, right now, I mean, they took the building and business over, parking lot over, with no changes.
So they, through the chair, they just stated that they were going to repave.
Right.
Right, but that's in the spring. That was not, it was left to us that they were taking this as is, the conditions were set as is, and if they did that, then it would, that when they go to do that, they will find that will be a land disturbance permit of some sort with the DPW.
Okay. Questions? Yeah.
Just have one, actually. 38 cars on this lot. Has anybody taken a hard look at that? That seems like an awful lot of cars for, I mean, when it was running as a restaurant, there's no way in hell they could fit 38 cars on that lot. Even if you park them very close together, I question whether we can get 38 safely while maintaining, the necessary width of the travel aisle as well as public safety. So, I believe we could probably restrict that on the license, but nonetheless, has anybody looked at that?
Well, I'm zoning board, that went to site plan approval with the ZBA. I have really no jurisdiction or anything to do with the parking, but I would agree that it does look pretty tight.
Thank you.
What? Yes, sir, Paul. Just identify
Yeah,
yourself.
good evening, Paul Delaquila. I'm acting town planner, assistant town manager. I can just verify that this proposal did go to DCG twice, both for the site plan application and for this license process. At that time, DPW advised the proponents that what would happen if they were to dig up the parking lot. It was vetted by the fire department for circulation, and DPW had some initial concerns too about the right-of-way in case they were doing some work at South Street. So I can just say that whether or not you like the proposal, it did go through the proper channels of procedures, and in fact, the planning board is set to sign the decision at their meeting tomorrow night.
Questions?
No, my concern simply is the number of cars. I'm not questioning the process one way or the other. But knowing the site and knowing how tight it is, I don't think 38 cars are realistic. But I also understand you're running a business and you need a certain number of vehicles on the property. But I can't support it tonight with 38 cars, and I need more information from staff. We need to really look at this and see what a reasonable number of cars are out there. It isn't just, the planning board, went and looked at a plan and said it's okay. That isn't where the review stops. You're the professionals. You're responsible for advising the planning board as well as this board and any other board that has jurisdiction over these items. And I mean, anybody who goes by that site, 38 cars is not a realistic number to put on that site. Again, when we were running a restaurant, which, that building was run briefly. It was a sandwich shop when I was a kid, but that stopped, and it was a vacant property for probably 20, 25 years. I just can't support 38 cars, and I would like staff to go out, take a hard look at it, and make a judgment as to how many cars can safely go on that site. That would be my wish.
So, Madam Chair, just to follow up on that, if I can have Assistant Town Manager Delaquila / acting town planner / economic development director. I hope we're not paying you per hat. Can you just confirm for me that the DCG that reviewed this includes police, fire, DDIS, Public Works, yourself, Public Works, yourself, as well as Auburn Water District?
In the Water District, yes.
And one of the things you looked at was specifically the parking layout, the number of vehicles?
Yes, the initial proposal had the site basically covered completely with cars, but we explained that we needed to allow for circulation and for the fire apparatus to be able to access the structure on the site.
And the DCG is recommending approval of this?
Yeah, I believe we sent you a memo to that effect.
Thank you. And One other question. So there was, Mr. Allard had indicated that if they are to repave in the spring, then they would have to go back through the process with DPW, and at that time, they would have to put in the additional infrastructure that was referenced by Mr. Tatro?
I would defer to DPW's requirements, but they would have to adhere to whatever standards they have in place, and that probably does involve some sort of subsurface drainage or collection facility.
But that doesn't require them to go back through the zoning process with the ZBA?
Mr.
Allard is shaking his head no.
But no, I don't think it ever went through the ZBA in the first place, but I don't think it would be subject to anything with ZBA, or I don't even think it would require necessarily, well, it could theoretically require a site plan amendment, but we'd have to see what would happen at that point.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, like a change of use doesn't trigger anything.
The site plan is the site plan was triggered both for commercial use, but also the change of use.
Okay. And then I'm looking at their plan, and then I see maybe 5 cars. Isn't there refrigeration and stuff exterior to the building? Is that being touched, or is that building and the refrigeration, all that stuff staying?
No, so you get a plain spot to move those.
So you have work to do.
Yes.
So.
I'm sorry.
Wait, can you restate the question, please?
So in this plan, it's showing some cars where I believe there is exterior building or refrigeration equipment out there. Like, so when I think of the plan or the location in my head, I don't see how it can fit as many cars as being proposed. But when I look at this plan, I could see, okay, if there was some work done on the, I guess I'd call it the far side of the building, you might be able to get some cars that you're showing, but I don't know how you get them without doing work.
No, we don't park anything behind the building because behind the building is going to be the properties. They have houses there, so we don't be able to park nothing in the back of the building. It's just up front the building. And in front the building is going to be a spot for the employee. It's going to be a spot for the customer, and a handicap.
I do see that. I don't know how we approve something without the infrastructure underneath it, or how our process doesn't allow us to capture that. Whether they're doing work or not, I feel like we should be requiring them to put infiltration in. It isn't an aquifer. But even if we do this and they start putting cars in there and then they decide not to in the spring because it's too costly, now we're living with a condition that we've created.
Madam Chair, if I could interject for a second, we do have the signed decision packet about to be delivered into this room. I just want to verify, if the board can be patient for a moment, we can confirm the number of spots that were on the approved site plan. I don't know if that's the same plan that you have there.
I think it's about 36.
She has the actual plan.
Yeah.
This the correct version of the plan?
Yes.
May I approach the?
Sure.
Make sure we're looking at the right. Same. It looks like the same.
Yeah. 36. Sorry, 36.
You need to go to the planning board rooms and match the spread.
They don't meet there anymore. That's why they changed the name.
All right, still the planning board room.
Room B.
Yeah, nice. Don't want to get too close to tight.
No, so currently, no one parks over
Right,
here.
yeah.
And I believe it's like overground with broken asphalt, and there might be some structure that kind of blocks this. That's where I was saying, so.
I don't see 38 spaces.
It's 36.
$36 plus an HP. That's what's Yep.
Of course, we draw anything. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate the extra work. I'm unchanged in my opinion. I can't vote for that. I'm sorry.
All right, any other comments from the board? No? Any comments from the audience? Yes, sir, come on up.
Apologize. Congratulations on your new business.
Oh, thank you.
I was just sitting here, I'm a man of modest gifts, and I had a question. It almost seems like maybe this is just the entrepreneur in me, but not saying this is the case because these gentlemen look to be well-to-do, but it's almost as if they're incentivized not to pave the parking lot. And it seems to be that, God forbid, something should happen at the auction or any other place, and it gets delayed, and then it gets delayed, or something else comes up, that they have no incentive to fix a deteriorating property, which it clearly is currently, into something much nicer, which I'm sure that they have marble columns picked out. Just a thought.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir. And just make sure to identify yourself too, so even, we know who you are, but other people might not.
Al Rafferty, Paul Street. Through the chair, if I may ask a question of these gentlemen, have they bought the property from the previous owners?
No, we lease for Joseph.
Oh, you signed a lease?
Yes.
So you signed a lease, can it be terminated, or you're locked in for a year or two, or?
No, we lease for 2 years.
Come up to the mic, sir, please.
We lease for the first 2 years and renew for another 5 years.
I see. The only reason I bring that up is, once again, we have a situation where a business comes into a town, they've signed a lease to do a business, and I don't know, maybe financially they can let it sit around until they clear up all the issues concerning it. But one more question. Did you contact anyone in the town, and did anyone in the town give you assurances that you'd be able to conduct the business as you stated tonight?
Yes, I contacted the town first of all, before I leased the building.
Town council?
No, I came over here and I asked for,
Who did you talk to?
I talked to the engineer.
Are you referring to the DCG committee that had the fire and the police and the DPW there?
Yes.
I just bring that up because, I feel bad for them, because it would appear that they must have been given some kind of assurances that they can conduct this business. Now, maybe it wasn't detailed, but whoever gave them the assurances. The reason I bring this up is, and I like to point out to these gentlemen tonight, is we have a business that bought a building, opened it up, started running it. It's called Rockland Road. It's a recycling center. Before they had any approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals, from the Conservation Commission, or the Planning Board. And they're up and running. No questions asked. So there seems to be a discrepancy here. Why was Rockland Road allowed to hit the ground running, but tonight you're holding these gentlemen up? Just a question.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to talk? Okay, and we believe we did hear that these gentlemen were told that if you want to repave, you have to do sub work there too. Okay. So, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, opposed, nothing. Okay, do I hear any other motions?
I make a motion to approve the Class 2 motor vehicle license for Easy Cars Motors LLC at 85 South Street, Auburn, Mass. 01501, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all the conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void, with the conditions of the DCG to be placed upon the license.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
You said you were in the affirmative? So it's a 3-1 that passed. Okay, gentlemen, it was approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to move up item 8C, Zoning Board of Appeals candidate interviews and potential board vote to appoint 2 associate members, one for a term to expire on June 30th, 2027, and one for a term to expire on June 30th, 2028?
So moved.
I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we are going to have interviews for 2 of the 3 candidates for the associate member positions on the Zoning Board of Appeals. One person who is a candidate is not able to come tonight but sent answers in. Okay? Yes, Mr. Bonnell, it's your time. Yeah, and Bob Tatro, will you come up too? Bob, come up to the,
Okay.
please.
I was actually going to give that hot seat to the candidate, but
No, that's okay.
Would you prefer to be at the podium
No,
or above the
at
dais?
the podium.
Okay, sure.
Do we have the questions, you guys? You ready?
You have.
Mm-hmm.
evening, everyone. Thank you for doing these interviews tonight. Very much appreciated.
How are you feeling?
You're welcome. Okay. So there are 3 questions that every applicant will be asked. Mark, what is your interest in serving on this committee?
To make sure that when they're putting 40Bs, they're not in the residential areas, to put them like in the business areas like Route 12, Route 20. If you put like a 40B there, like the old Yankee Drummer or the Auburn Mall.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, do you have any special experiences or skills that will enhance your appointment?
Well, I know a lot about the American Disability Act, and when a business comes for a variance, to make sure that the inside meets all the codes, and to make sure that they have enough handicap parking spaces, big enough for a van, the space is big enough for a van, sidewalk from the street into the main entrance, to make sure make sure it's accessible for all disabilities.
All right, thank you. And the third question is, do you have any time constraints that would affect your attendance at the scheduled meetings and/or any additional meetings as needed?
No, I don't. I can meet anytime, any day.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Tatro, do you have any questions to ask?
I don't have any additional questions at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Board members are allowed to ask 2 additional questions. Does anyone have any?
I don't.
I already said.
Can I just add, though? I want to thank Mr. Banal for applying.
Yes.
I've known Mark for years. He's been very passionate about the ADA in town. He's very helpful about that. And can I tell you, he's one of the consistent volunteers that we have in town. I wish we had more like him. So thank you very much for coming down and interviewing for the position. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're all set, Mark. Do you
Okay.
yeah. We'll bring you back to the seat.
Okay, good, thank you. Easy.
All right, our next candidate is, Our next candidate, please, is Catherine Burke-Kolodny. Is Catherine here? Okay, she's not here. Our next candidate is John Shea, and why don't I read his answers into the record? Question 1 was, what is my interest in serving? And John replied, I have been a lifelong resident of this town for 78 years. I served on the fire department for 28 years, from 1964 to 1992. I was a heavy equipment operator for the Auburn Highway Department for about 4 years during the late 60s until early 70s. Under the administration of Chris Rath, I served on the Solid Waste Committee and the Equipment Purchasing Committee. I happen to care about this town and what happens to it, and would like to see more open space preserved. Question 2, do I have any special experience or skills that would enhance an appointment? And the answer is, I've worked in the construction trade for 60 years now. I am experienced in all phases of site development and utility work and road work. And question 3, do I have any time constraints that would affect my attendance at scheduled meetings and/or additional meetings as needed? No, I'm pretty much open to any time for meetings as scheduled or any as needed. And respectfully submitted, John Shea. Okay.
I think just for the record, Mr. Shea said he was sick tonight. Is that so?
Yeah.
Wish him well. Hope he feels better. I don't really have anything else. I mean, that was our interviews, I suppose. So, but again, I want to thank the board for doing this. I know it's kind of important just for the folks at home for a minute. You know, I want to give an example. When we had these long-term multi-unit development projects going in, sometimes they take over a year. We saw with Perry Place, we were at 14 months before we were done. And you don't realize that if somebody misses an appointment here, somebody misses a meeting here, and they all kind of added up. So fortunately, Ms. Roach was able to just recognize that, ask the town to make sure we had the proper attendance. And it turned out that we only had 3 people that were able to vote on Perry Place because it took so long.
Yep.
And we actually had to have an alternate member come back who had already resigned in order to complete a couple of votes. So for the folks at home, you know, I always advocate, this is the most important part of what we do as a community is volunteering. It keeps the cost down. It really is giving a voice to the average community person, to the homeowners especially, to the business community. So I really try to advocate for people to come up here and volunteer for all of these. We have numerous boards and committees with open positions. And, you know, we see all the people on local social media pages complaining, and I agree with them. They have every right to do that. But come in and volunteer and make a difference and change. Right? And I mean, look at all these folks. I mean, I don't know, when was the last time you guys got a pay raise? Right? I mean, we haven't gotten a pay raise since I've been on the board. It's still 0, and I don't mind, but, you know, just say. So, yeah, get involved. I mean, you're the board that can raise our taxes. You know, we have a new fire department that's coming in. All these decisions are made locally, and that takes, you know, it directly impacts us as compared to a federal or another issue that everybody seems to pay attention to. So that's my soapbox, but please consider volunteering, and thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Have a great
Thank
evening.
you.
Madam Chair, if I can just ask our staff, when were the candidates notified that they were going to be here for the interview? The only reason why I ask is Mr. Shea last week attended my office hours to discuss different issues, and he wasn't aware that he was on the agenda, and that was last Thursday night. So do we know when we notified them? I'm just worried that last Thursday he didn't know about it. Miss Burke-Kolodny's not here tonight. Do we know when they were notified?
Yes, through the chair, they were notified on Friday as a follow-up.
Is there a requirement to be here? Obviously, Mr. Shea was not able to be present, but provide the answers. And the reason I ask is I see the resume of one candidate, and I just want to make sure there's no conflicts with schedule, because I certainly would support this candidate. And if I could get that one answer, I think it makes a big difference.
So are you saying you'd like to postpone the vote to our next meeting and maybe try to get that other candidate here? Just to see if
I'd like
to see maybe perhaps it was just a schedule issue tonight.
Yeah, I mean, speak for myself, I would like to, if we can hold this, to wait to see if we can have Ms. Burke-Kalani as well as Mr. Shea here in person. Similar to what Mr. Bennell came in, provided the answers, attended in person. And so I'd like to hold this until next meeting to see if we can get them in here as well.
For your motion?
I'll make a motion to hold the Zoning Board of Appeals candidate interviews and potential board vote until our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second. Just want to make it clear as well that Mr. Bernal doesn't need to be come back for it. We have the answers we need. And even still, I mean, Mr. Shea did provide the answers, so I'm not 100% certain I would need to see him in person as I have the answers, or if we can get the answers from Ms. Burke-Kalani.
So we have a motion and a second to hold these interviews and to, until our next meeting and vote on the candidate at our next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. So we're going to do that at our next meeting. All right, let's go back to gift acceptances in section 8B. We have a $25, let me get to this, please, hold on. We have a $25 gift donation to the Auburn Animal Shelter from Donna Bacon.
Motion to accept with gratitude.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we have another gift from the Sons of the American Legion, Post 279 on Bancroft Street. The gift is $250, and that's to the Fire Department gift account.
Motion to accept with gratitude.
Second.
Second.
Okay, and we usually write letters, too. Is that correct?
That's usually 500 or above.
Oh,
Not that
okay.
this isn't substantial. Any gift is appreciated, don't get me wrong, but it has been past practice that starts at 5.
Okay, I understand. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Thank you. All right, going back on this agenda, now we're going to look at item 8D. A board vote for name change on auto repair license located at 68 Auburn Street in Auburn, Mass. From the Ajamian Fusaro Enterprises, Inc., doing business as Interstate Transmission, to Fusaro Automotive Care, Inc., doing business as Interstate Transmission. Mr. Fusaro, are you here? Yes. Oh, good. Why don't you come on up, please? Thank you. So just identify yourself, too.
My name is Stephen Fazaro.
Okay. And what is it you're seeking to do tonight?
My license was changed because I'm no longer associated with some former partners. It's going to be run the same way, same employees and so on.
And are there any other changes in the business, the way you conduct it, or anything? No?
Nope.
Okay.
Same space, same, nothing's changing other than I do not have some of the partners I had previously.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board?
I'm just seeing something in here, and I just want to recuse myself in case there may be.
Okay. I understand. Any questions, gentlemen?
Nope.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the name change on an auto repair license located at 68 Auburn Street, Auburn, Mass. 01501 from, and I apologize, I'm going to butcher the names, Ajamian Fusaro Enterprises, Inc., DBA Interstate Transmission, to Fusaro Automotive Care, Inc., DBA Interstate Transmission.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 1. You're all set, sir.
No, he's not abstained, he's
Oh,
recused.
recused. I beg your pardon. You're all set, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, 8E, a board vote on a gas registration business name and address change at 771 Southbridge Street. Is there anyone here from that business? Where's the P&AK Family Limited Partnership?
They usually don't.
Yeah, then,
That's just a
All
note
right.
from the clerk's office.
Okay, they don't have to, sure. So this property was recently sold to P&AK Family Limited Partnership, and the request is for an update to the gas registration at the address.
Similar, I'm going to recuse.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve a business name and address change for the gas registration at 881 Southbridge Street. Okay, this says 881 here in the motion. 771 Southbridge Street to P&AK Family Limited Partnership, 1 Mercantile Street, Suite 510, Worcester, Mass. 01608.
Second.
all right, so I just have a question. Danielle, I noticed that the information that was in our packet all referred it to 771 Southbridge Street, but this in the motion that was here reads 881. Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure we're doing it correctly. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, so that's approved. Next, we have item 8F, a board vote to approve proprietary specified items for the new Auburn Fire Rescue Headquarters. All right, we have a representative from the Fire Station Building Committee. Do you want to come up? Yeah. Sit right there. I know, I just did that. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. How
Good
are you
evening.
guys?
And just identify yourself for the record.
Sure, Deputy Glenn Johnson, Auburn Fire. And with me is Joe Sullivan, our OPM for the project.
Okay. Hey, Jim. So can you tell us what the a proprietary specified item means?
So I could probably do that a little clearer. It's standard business practices that at times towns and cities can prioritize some specifications with their project. And there are a number of different reasons for that to happen. There's legislation in place that allows cities and towns to do so. There are 3 items that the town are looking to do that with. And some of it is, a great example is that if there's a service that you're currently using in multiple buildings, it only makes sense to have that service within the next building so that the level of service and the service contracts that you might implement is the same and your cost savings would help. And that's just an example of that nature. There are 3 items that we're looking to have a proprietary spec on for the Auburn Fire Station headquarters. We have separate letters from the architect indicating the reasons behind it, and we're looking for the select board to make a motion to approve so that we can include them with the bidding process.
Okay. Questions?
So this is for the equipment itself, not the installation, correct? So this is just to purchase this specific equipment, and everyone will bid on the same?
100% correct. To include it within the specification so that the subcontractor or general contractor would be required to make sure that that type of system is implemented.
Okay. And then are there any concerns about anyone that may bid on their ability to install this equipment per spec?
No, so the proprietary spec that we currently have, any subcontractor that would be looking at that product has the ability to install.
Thank you.
Or they would have a subcontractor under them to install it. So it actually has a pretty level playing field based on that.
Thank you.
I do have one question. I did watch your last meeting. It was exciting. Mr. Kennedy raised the question, and I did look it up myself on this integrated security systems. I did note that it was from 4 or 5 years ago that the breach was. You had said that you would verify that all was well with them. Can you assure us that that is the case?
And that was the case. We actually looked it up a little bit closer, and the architect of record checked with the engineer of record, and I'll just pull up exactly his email. He did respond back, and it didn't have any effect on the proprietary spec that we're looking to do. If you want, I can read it to you specifically, so.
No, if you could just submit it so that we can add it to the record.
You got
I
it.
would appreciate that, just so that,
Sure.
Okay, so, all set?
yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that we had that for the record, so in case anybody else had a question, saw your meeting and might have concerns, This was typically, at least from what I read, dealing with their nursing homes and medical, which is scary enough when you start talking about that. But when you talk about private and secure spaces such as the fire department, police department, certain areas of town government that we don't want people to, I don't want to know. I certainly don't want somebody, in Washington State knowing what's going on. So thank you for that.
Okay. Any other questions? Now we have three systems that we would, three proprietary items. Do I hear any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve the utilization of Vercada as the integrated security system for the new Auburn Fire Rescue Headquarters.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And another motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the utilization of Plimavent as the vehicle exhaust extraction system for the new Auburn Fire Rescue Headquarters.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll make a motion to approve the utilization of Automated Logic as the instrumentation and control system for the HVAC system for the new Auburn Fire Rescue Headquarters.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All set, gentlemen?
I have
Yes.
just two other things I'd like to bring. I sent the email over to Chief Coleman and Deputy Chief Glenn, just so that he can put it for record, so you'll have it. And then just a quick update with the overall project. I haven't been in front of you in a while, and if you can just give me 3 minutes, I just want to give you an overview on it. Currently, the project's on track and on time and on budget right now. The drawings are 90% complete. Specifications are almost 95% complete. We're looking to bid this late February. We're looking to have hopefully subcontractor and general contractor bids in hand by mid-April. And hopefully, mid-March, and then have contract in place for mid-April with hopefully a groundbreaking early May, perfect weather for that. And then we're anywhere between 14 and 16 months of construction with a little bit of closeout in between, which would give us the end of 27 for occupancy, September, October-ish, right around there.
Thank you.
We're currently had an early package, if you're well aware of it, that the Department of Public Works, along with the fire department staff, had done some early package site work on site, which is a potential savings close to $350,000 to $400,000 for this particular project, just for them doing that preparation rather than a general contractor doing it. So I just want to acknowledge the Department of Public Works and the fire department for taking on that work and the cost savings towards this project. It's only benefiting the town residents as well as the department as we move forward. We have actually taken the process and already started looking at furniture, fixtures, and equipment. My PM currently is taking the fire department to several different vendors to just pick out the best quality furniture for the next 50 years that they can get out of it. And we'll be putting a solid budget together on that to make sure that we're staying within our budget restraints. And then the only other thing that we have is that the overall bidding process, we've already done all the pre-qualifications for the file sub and general contractors. We've already notified them of that process. There are specific entities that are inquiring about some of the scores associated with that. I provided those scores. They were looking for a little bit more detail related to it. I reached out to the Attorney General and got some language on what we're allowed to do. They don't always agree with what the Attorney General, they want more information, so I'm working through that currently right now. It shouldn't affect the overall bidding process that we're going through, and it's more of an open meeting request for information, that's all.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll be back in front of you as soon as we get bids in hand.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, continuing on our agenda, we have town manager items, potential board vote on the timeline for the budget and for warrant articles for spring 2026 annual town meeting.
If I may, Madam Chairwoman, I have prepared a timeline for the budget and the warrant articles for the town meeting, which is going to be held on Tuesday, May 5th. as per the bylaws, Chapter 2, Section 2.02. This is what we need a vote for tonight is the opening of the town meeting warrant, which would be tonight, January 12th, 2026. In this timeline, I have listened to the board and the recommendation to have the warrant open longer for residents so that they have additional time to prepare their articles. So the first item is the town meeting warrant will be January 12th, 2026, and close on February 23rd, 2026. This is a 6-week period for the town meeting warrant. After that, we will, and actually starting today, having the town manager and departmental meetings. And then I've added, there are 2 meetings in February, for February 9th and the 23rd, where the Board of Selectmen will review and have positions on the budget line items, the budget, the capital budget, and the regular budget. And if necessary, I also put in February 17th in case the board wanted additional discussion. The budget has to go to the Finance Committee no later than the first week of March. So I have the budget going to the Finance Committee on February 25th. That's why I did want to add possibly another date in February for the Board of Selectmen review. And then the Finance Committee will have departmental meetings with the Finance Committee between February 26th and April 9th. And we'll also have, at the same time as all this budget work is being done, the Board of Selectmen will be able to review and vote on the warrant articles and state their positions. That's on March 9th and March 23rd, if they need if you need an additional week. And the Finance Committee will review and state their position on warrant articles April 1st, 2026. And then the Finance Committee review and possible position of the warrant articles, again, on April 6th if they need it. And then the printing of the warrant is April 9th to the 16th. Mailing is April 17th. Posting is April 17th. Pre-town meeting April 28th. And town meeting April 5th. It's a very tight timeline, as you can see, but it does allow flexibility for both FinCom and also the Board of Selectmen. And we have confirmed the dates. I worked with Ginger in the clerk's office, and I worked with Karen, the Chief Financial Officer, on the dates that are required for the Finance Committee. So this is what I present to you tonight. Tonight we'll need a vote to open the town meeting warrant and to accept this timeline for the budget and the warrant articles for the town meeting.
So we have to vote to open it, and we have to vote a closing date as well, correct?
Yes, the closing date is February 23rd, 2026.
Any motions or any questions first?
I do have, well, an ask, not a question. I would, if board members can find the time, I would like us to schedule the meeting for February 17th for the budget, just because I feel like we need to set aside a meeting just for that type of review and comment, so that we're not holding up staff or other people. So that's just my ask.
Yep.
Next year, I'm going to hope that we open it in December, so that we actually have maybe 2 months. But I thank the town manager for putting this together. I know it's been kind of a weird couple of weeks for the office, so I appreciate the commitment to get this to us.
All right, any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
I will make a motion to open the warrant for the spring 2026 annual town meeting on June 12th, 2026, and to close the warrant at February 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that's all set. And we'll make sure to publicize this, right? Can we put it up on the board at the library, at the fire station? Maybe if they're not using those, if the DPW's not using those portable signs, maybe we can do that too. Okay. All right. Any tabled items? No. Now we have some member items.
Chair, there's a request to approve or not approve the timeline?
Oh, I beg your pardon. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the timeline.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. All right. Now we have member items, discussion and possible board vote to create a committee to investigate what is needed for the town of Auburn to cap the growth in annual residential property assessed value in a similar manner to laws in California, Connecticut, Florida, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, and Nevada. Todd Corain, do you want to tell us about this?
Sure, absolutely. So I had sent last night, it's also in our packet, I believe Danielle amended it to include it on the packet online. Just a brief summary. If the board's not prepared to vote on this tonight, I fully respect that. And as alluded to by Mr. Consilvio, I'd like to discuss property tax assessment growth management. So in Massachusetts, as we all know, Prop 2.5 was passed in 1980. It caps the increase in the town's overall tax levy by 2.5% annually, plus new growth. However, it does nothing to cap the real increase in our property tax bills, which is most likely comes from the increase in our assessed value. Massachusetts state law provides zero flexibility currently to municipal governments in our assessor. They are required to assess the property at the fair market value as of January 1st of the tax year. So our tax bills are based on 100% of that fair market value. However, what other states have done, and I just listed some of them here and gave you examples of what each one has done, in order to realize the fact that yes, for most of us, our private residences are our biggest investment, and while we will eventually realize the gain that we get based on its increase in fair market value, that doesn't help most of our residents pay their tax bills each year as it increases. And what these other states have done through various percentages or various means, they have actually passed laws on a state level to cap the growth in the assessed value of the property. So just an example, California started with Proposition 13 in 1978, and this actually caps the growth of the assessed value of the property at 2% each year. So the assessed value cannot increase more than 2% each year, and based on that assessed value is what their income tax is based off of. Every time the property is sold, it gets reassessed at that new fair market value, and that becomes the new base level that you increase the 2% each year off of. And other states have done similar, Connecticut, Florida, Louisiana, they're all here. So this is not something that we can simply go to town meeting and do. It's not, it's something that we would have to work with our professional staff, work with our legislative delegation if we are actually interested in looking at ways for us to keep Auburn affordable, make Auburn more affordable, for our residents to live here and remain here as they age in place. The Select Board has been, I think, very progressive, shall I say, although not from the political sense of our actions on putting forward for town meeting, maximizing the senior tax programs, and even going to the state with enabling legislation to get special permission to go even further. We have adopted every available aspect of the HEROES Act and the veterans, and we're taking all the various steps that is allowed currently under state law. And I would just like to see if the board is interested in forming a committee or a working group or a subcommittee or of some sort and I recommend that if we do it, that it include 2 members of this board, 2 members of our finance committee, and then our professional staff to look at state law, work with our delegation, identify what would be needed for Auburn to be able to institute this. It would have to come back in the form of a town meeting warrant. It would have to be approved by this board. It would have to go to town meeting. It would have to be approved, and then it would likely have to go to the legislature for approval. But I just wanted to start the conversation on ways that we can think outside the box when it comes to property tax, how we're looking at it in town, and how we are keeping Auburn more affordable for our residents.
I just have a question. Are there any other towns in Massachusetts that have adopted this?
No, so it is not currently allowed under state law. State law requires, again, that we assess at 100% of the fair market value every year. So this would be a special situation similar to what we just did with the senior tax credit, where Auburn would be petitioning the legislature eventually, if we were to go that route, for special permission to institute something along these lines.
So I have a concern with this, and it's not about fairness in that area. We do try to make things more affordable, but I feel like pursuing something like this really doesn't solve the issue of spending. I feel like we really need to take a hard look at what we spend and what we value as a community and what we don't, and reassess that. Because it doesn't matter if you cap it, that's going to artificially force us to have that conversation. I feel like we should be proactive in that. And when times are good, we're being supported. You know, I've heard some members say we should tax to the 2.5 and reserve those funds. I think we should be thinking about what we're spending and really go that route. So while I'm not opposed to having more discussions around it, I feel having a subcommittee to discuss this one issue doesn't get us to where we need to be. So I feel if we're going to go down these routes, we should be looking at, we know the system's broken. We know that tax levy is always going to be problematic. You never truly own your home in this state. But the real value to make it more affordable is to have those tough conversations and make our budget less so we can actually come back with a proposed budget that reduces the tax burden on everyone. I think having the discussions about capping it will artificially force us to redistribute that, and then our split tax rate really becomes null and void, because now you have to increase on commercial, or you have to find that revenue elsewhere. So it doesn't really help us solve the problem.
So I would just say that I don't think it's an either-or discussion. And I think when we go down either-or paths, we sort of become closed-minded to solutions across the board. I think that built into our current system, if this board or finance committee or town meeting wanted to have those tough conversations, we have something in place, and that's the budget process, where the town manager brings us the budget. We're now going to have 3 meetings, which I'm very happy about, because, you know, Mr. Carpenter pushed for a wider timeline to ask questions, to set priorities. Even before we go that far, we set priorities for the town manager on an annual basis to do that. So we have and I'm not saying that our current systems are perfect. Those current systems exist when it comes to having that conversation and identifying those cuts. There is no current system that currently exists for us to consider property tax assessment and limiting those assessments. So I'm asking us to form an exploratory committee. So 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road, we can put something in place, but we can start in February having those tough conversations on the budget.
Again, I'm not against having those discussions, but I feel like this is very narrow and won't get us to the solutions we need. And I'm not trying to solution it, but when you cap that, it's going to force us to redistribute how everything happens. So putting that additional barrier in there is going to it's going to delay what we really need to do, is what I'm concerned about. We need to have, and it's not an either or. So I'm not saying let's not have these discussions. I'm saying if we're going to have them, I feel like if we're going to do subcommittees, we should have a wider charge as to not solution the issue.
I'm not solutioning this, and if you look at the examples from the states, some actually put caps on commercial property as well, industrial property as well. I'm not limiting this to just residential. It can be, you know, it says residential, but we can do other as well. And I'm not saying, if you look at the states' examples, they're different. each one, like Connecticut limits it at 70%. Some do a certain percentage increase over each year. I'm not saying which one is better, or which one's worse. I'm just saying that we need to start having real conversations about affordability in the state when it comes to property tax, because the 2.5% that we're all focused on is not actually what's driving up the increase in our property taxes every single year.
It's our spending. That's what it is.
It's our spending, but it's also our assessment.
But our assessment and our rates, we all set that based on a budget, based on a collective discussion around what we truly value as a community. So if we want to talk about reducing the price, you can put a cap on that, but that cap isn't going to stop the spending, which is going to increase the rate whether you cap it or not. And what it's going to end up happening is you're going to slow growth in sales of those people that move into town are going to get hit with a lot higher tax than those people that have been in town forever. And I do feel there's a need there, but again, I've also advocated for at 65, some of these things where we can defer paying those taxes. If you're on a fixed income, what can we do to limit what your costs would increase? But for those that are working and have the means to do that and support a vibrant community, again, I'm not a huge fan of taxes, but there are certain things I'm willing to spend extra on. And I think that's where we need to, as a community, decide how to do that. Capping it isn't, in my view, isn't going to solve the issue. So we can certainly have more discussions.
Through you, Madam Chair, have you had discussions with staff, Mr. Crane, about this proposal?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I've mentioned it previously when discussing our annual tax classification when we meet individually with the assessor, et cetera. And that's where I was told initially, no, state law requires that we assess at 100% fair market value. That got me to go down the rabbit hole. As I often always say, I always jump down these rabbit holes to say, okay, well, is that like that in every other state? And that's when I started looking.
No, I definitely like the thinking out of the box. I do. My concern is we need to give staff time to accomplish the goals that we assigned or agreed to last September. I'd be happy to continue to talk about this probably starting in July to see where we're at, because we're down some critical positions. And my concern is that we're stretching staff too thin. We know we don't have, a large staff to handle a lot of these projects. So I just don't feel that this is the time to take on something this big. I would like us to work on the finance policies that we talked about with finance and others so that we can at least put those in some sort of, order, and then perhaps we can look at this, which sounds like a multi-year commitment on the part of the committee members. But I definitely like the thinking out of the box and certainly am willing to discuss it, but much later in 2026.
May I make a comment? If you cap everyone, for instance, at 2% or 3% or whatever of an increase, people are still going to be paying the same ratio that they're paying now of the total tax bill. So they could definitely be paying more if the levy, what we need to levy, is higher. And I don't know how many houses sell per year. I mean, that would adjust the plan, adjust their proportion. But I don't see how it saves us much money, or saves the individual homeowners money.
So throwing numbers out here. So let's say that this year we tax to the 2.5%. So in theory, your bill should go up 2.5% over what it was last year. However, your new assessed value, because it's been a great market, has now increased in 4 or 5% of the value. You're not getting a bill that's 2.5% higher. You're getting 2.5% plus the increase in the difference. of your assessment. So if you cap that at 2%, it can't go higher. So you're just paying the 2.5 plus the 2. You're not going 4, 5, 6% higher. There's other states that tie it to the rate of inflation, meaning your value, your assessed value is 3% or the rate of inflation, whichever is lower.
So
So
if,
when you look at the bill, the real increase in your taxes every year is not the 2.5%. It's the increase in the assessed value. You're getting taxed at that higher, against a higher, a larger value.
I understand what you're saying. I don't know if I completely agree with it, but that's okay. So do we have any motions on this?
Can I just ask, so it caps it, but then when we don't need that or the budget's actually in line, does it ever go down? And if there is a cap, is there I don't know if it's an incentive, but is there a reason it wouldn't go down because they're afraid that they can't continue to increase based on need? Or are we looking at reallocating funds and funding other accounts in the future that we wouldn't normally do because we're afraid to lose that potential revenue or have things reset? Because in a down market, what are the effects, and how does that incentivize a decrease? Because I have, in my time in Auburn, have seen my bill go down, not every year, but I've seen the assessed value go down. I've seen market conditions change. We're in a tight market.
So it caps the increase in assessment. So we're still required under state law to increase based on the fair market value, but if the value of your house goes down, then your assessed value goes down. There's not an automatic thing that says it automatically goes up 2%. It says it goes up, it can only increase up to 2% in terms of the taxable amount. So if it goes up, if your fair market value raises 10%, the increase in the taxes can only be 2% for the assessed value, even though your fair market value is way up here. If it drops down negatively, if your value decreases, then it decreases. It doesn't still go up because your assessed value is based off of the fair market.
But then where does that loss of revenue come from?
What do you mean? Where's the loss of revenue?
So in a down economy, there's a loss revenue.
Similar to down economies right now, the overall pie of that's available to us is decreased. So our budget automatically has to decrease unless we go for a 2.5 override.
And I think
which, for the record, I am not saying we're doing.
No, but I think a cap incentivizes or requires a more frequent need for 2.5 overrides, because again, in a down economy, we're not going to have.
Well, I think in a down economy, the value of your property is going down, so your tax bill is naturally going down, as it does right now. The cap doesn't make it go up. The cap just says it can't go up higher than 2%.
So when it goes down,
it goes down.
It goes down. There isn't a floor, or they say, oh, if we continue to go down,
it goes down.
And then, so if you cap,
and I'm just saying what other states are doing, what we prescribe. I'm not one way or the other, but the way these states are, if it goes down, it goes down. If it goes up, it can't go higher than 2%, or it can't go higher than 3%, or it can't go higher than the rate of inflation.
So let's assume we're in a building boom and now we can't go up, but we have a need to assess the schools differently because we have a lot more people coming into the community, right? Like, how do we address that?
If you have a building boom, then presumably they're coming in at that base rate, which is the fair market value today.
But it's not realized in that first year, or many, like
new growth, sure it is.
Okay. Yeah, again, if you want to have a subcommittee, I'm all for having the discussion. I just personally, I see so many more flaws than good, and I think the intentions are good. So I certainly want to continue those discussions, but I think it's a spending issue more than a capping.
I think it's both.
I just have one more question. So the example you used is the budget increased by 2.5%, but people's tax didn't increase by their levy didn't increase by 2.5% because their assessed value went up. So it increased by more. So if we limit their increase in their assessed in their levy, what they're taxed at, who else pays for now that difference? Because shouldn't that just have to get redistributed? And
The town can only increase the amount we're spending each year at 2.5%.
Correct.
Plus new growth.
Right. So that money that we've decided, our budget, we set it based on 2.5% in new growth. Someone would maybe potentially be paying more, but because we capped their value, assessed value, they're not going to pay that extra amount now. Right?
No one's going to pay that extra amount.
Right. So
We are forcing a discussion on reducing a budget or keeping a budget within a certain limit because of the 2.5 plus the capping of the assessment.
I just think that it's not necessarily going to save people money, because if we still need the money.
I would respectfully disagree, simply because when you look at the examples from these states, it's in real world literally saving people money.
All right. Do we hear a motion?
I'll make a motion that we table the discussion until July 2026.
Second.
So we have any other motions?
Well, that's the motion on the floor, so we have to vote on the motion on the floor.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
All right. Next, member items. B, discussion and board vote on the select board submitting 2 warrant articles, senior volunteer and land disturbance, to town administration for proper language to be submitted to the May town meeting. And that's Todd. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so just to clarify, what I'm seeking here is for this board to vote to authorize us to submit an early version to staff so that they can work out the language, get it finalized, corrected, and brought back for the board to then consider whether we want to actually submit it to town meeting for approval. And this is in the hopes to avoid the situation that we went through recently with several of our warrant articles where we had the language, it went through a review council, we thought we were all set. May town meeting voted for it. A month later, we find out, no, that wording is wrong. There was a mix-up and we have to come back and do everything again. The first thing is a discussion we've had at the board during the tax classification. I've asked it several times and we finally did get an answer. The veterans, currently the veterans has the work-off program where they can volunteer, where they can work a certain amount of hours. And if they're not able to, someone can volunteer in their place. I had asked several for going 3 years now, if that was available for seniors, and if not, why not? And I reached out to Department of Local Services, a contact I had there, and they provided me with the language that actually in 2024, the state legislature amended that and now provides for the ability of a town, if town meeting adopts this, to institute and allow a volunteer or a approved representative, as they call it, to volunteer on the senior citizens' behalf. So that's the first warrant article. Again, this is based off of the language that I got from my contact. However, I think it would be better for if we forward this to staff and allow them to review it, put the correct language in. So again, if we do this, we're only voting it once. The second is this goes back to concerns I've heard in the community and concerns that I had as a planning board member, and since I've been off the planning board in this on this committee, if you drive around, there are several locations, and we could probably all think of even more than I have here, where in advance of getting planning board and ZBA approvals, developers are purchasing large parcels of land. They are going and getting a land disturbance permit through our town bylaws from the Department of Public Works, under the premise that they will be doing something with that land. As they're going through that planning process, they're going in, clear cutting the land, removing all vegetation, and supposedly prepping it in advance. And what has unfortunately become all too common is that either they discontinue the planning process and the land is left in that state, or they get their approvals and for whatever reason they don't act upon it and the land is left in that state. And we are seeing either clear cutting, it's becoming an eyesore. You are seeing a rise in proliferation of invasive species, weeds coming in, Japanese knotweed, et cetera, that are coming into those now cleared space. The developers and property owners, because they are not going through that planning process or not acting on their building permit, have walked away from those locations, presumably. And they're becoming a real eyesore in our community. And I've just identified a couple, Eaton Avenue, Hampton Street. Probably one of the worst cases that I've seen is Oxford Street North, one house down from Rethel, sort of near the police station, where they went in, clear cut everything, started digging into the top of a mountain, made these huge mounds of dirt, and walked away about 5 years ago. We also recently on Southbridge Street, right at the bottom where Hampton meets it. When I was on the planning board, actually, they came before us for a new building that was going to be there. They clear cut everything. It's now all Japanese knotweed, and they were running an illegal transfer station out of there, which has now been shut down, pending them going back through. And in this case, they had approvals to build the site. They just decided not to. So now they're going back through the planning process again. So I just want to put in something in our bylaws, and I've told, I've discussed this with, I have discussed this with staff through the town manager. Put something in our bylaws to better protect our neighborhoods, that will not allow them to go clear cut land. And this is only triggered when the goal is to only trigger this when it's a land disturbance permit, and that requires a large amount. It's not you cutting down a tree in your house or 2 or 3 dead trees, and preventing them from doing this until they have permits in hand, until they've gotten the building permit, and they're really going to act on it. And it's just that, it's a quality of life issue. It's something that several neighbors have several residents have contacted me about. And it's something that I think that we need to address. So again, I'm just seeking permission for us to formally send this to staff, because on this one specifically, I'm just guessing on the language, that this is the right one, but it might not be. So I'd like them to look at it so that we're not having to, if we say, okay, we want to do this, and then they go, we submit it, the warrant closes, and they come back and they go, the language is wrong. We have to reopen the warrant again, and go through that sort of back and forth. So I'd like to be, given our new extended timeline of 6 weeks, and I believe this is one of the reasons why we said we wanted to do the extended timeline, was so we could proof a lot of this stuff. I'm seeking permission from the committee for staff to look at this, knowing the goals, and give us the correct language. And then we can come back and at a meeting before the warrant closes and decide whether we want to submit it or not.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I will make a motion that we submit the 2 warrant articles, senior volunteer and land disturbance, to town administration for proper language, to then be returned to the select board for approval at a later date to submit it to as part of the warrant for the May town meeting.
Okay. Second?
I have a question on the land disturbance. I did not get to look too closely at it. I do remember when we did the general bylaws, there was a reason why they did what they did, but search me what it was. I'm okay with the senior volunteer, but would you be willing to hold the land disturbance till the next meeting?
I'm willing to hold it. I don't want to lose the window and have, again, we're not saying we're submitting this. We're saying that staff is going to be able to give us the proper wording, come back, and then we decide whether we're going to submit it or not.
Yeah, my concern again, as I said, with 11A, we're stretching staff thin. We don't have a planner currently. I'm just concerned that we're trying to do too much. That's my concern.
Can I ask the town manager, knowing that I've already provided these to you, I believe you had some initial conversations, is it going to be taxing or overburdening for staff to look at this, give us the language necessary, and have it come back to us.
Excuse me, through the chair. I agree with Mr. Carpenter. We are taxed. We have already met on at least one of these two subjects to see what we can do to formulate these articles, because we do see, especially when it comes to the land disturbance, we do see the issue. So I am ready to take those on and continue to work with staff, but I appreciate the concern because we are definitely down in staff.
Excuse me.
I have concern with the waiting until you receive a building permit, because a lot of times people don't know what's feasible. So I feel like, I don't want clear cutting, certainly don't want to do that, but I feel we have to make sure there's language in there that allows them to go and do the necessary work or exploratory work. As you said, like Rethel, it's a big mound. Maybe they ran out of money because they didn't realize they were on ledge or what it is. So there's got to be some mechanism in there where we don't allow clear cutting, but we don't prevent people from having a clear plan before coming before the necessary board. So waiting until building permit is issued is a long time in that process. So I don't know what that right way is to mitigate it, but.
So I'm open to a building permit. I'm open till they get their full approvals from planning and zoning. I just want to make sure that what's happening now gets stopped, and that is they're getting the land disturbance permit before they, in some cases, have even applied for it.
Absolutely.
And that, in the Oxford North location is actually, they got their land disturbance, they began the planning process, did all this stuff and then walked away. And that was one of the last cases. They came back before the planning board with another plan that the planning board members, and this is right as I was exiting the planning board, certain members who have experience in that construction trades voiced concerns that their plan wasn't realistic, and they walked away again. So I just want to make sure that we start protecting our neighbors, protecting the residents, and start putting in some better tightening of the land disturbance, because what's happening right now is that they're getting these permits regardless of what they plan to do. They're clear cutting and walking away.
And the issuance of land disturbance should have that requirement, or some requirement that there's a plan in place. I feel right now you can just walk in and ask for it.
You literally can, yes. That's the problem.
No, and that's, so again, I don't know if it's changing who authorizes it, if it's tied to that rather than a board, or if it needs to be tied to a board. I certainly don't want it tied to a building permit, because that will be problematic, stretching things out. I'm all for the protection. I don't like clear cutting, but I also understand the need for some work to take place before, or even sometimes we have best interests and they come before a board and discover a new issue and that type of thing. So I don't think there's.
So, I mean, there can be, if you're talking about test pits or something along that lines, there may be modified land disturbance permits. Again, this is why I want our staff to look at it.
Yep. And I'm throwing it out there if they're going to start working on it.
Yeah, no.
So again, I don't want to go down a path and go, yeah, the language is correct, but while the intent is good, I think there is more to it than what is presented here.
Why I want to send it to them.
And I think this is why Mr. Carpenter says there's a lot there. So if the town manager's okay, staffing wise, to be able to address that, I feel okay to proceed, but I want to make sure we're providing the right direction so they're not reworking a million other things.
Well, I think they need to rework to a certain degree, and we have a tight time frame. And I did look at some of the communities. Some do send it to the planning board, some, an internal board like we currently have, which obviously if you're a business person, that's, it's a lot easier not having to wait for the advertisement and a meeting and then, oh geez, we don't have a quorum, which thankfully we, as a town don't typically have a problem with, but there are other towns that do. With the managers saying that she's willing to, lash them to the mast, I'm going to withdraw my concern.
Yep.
Next time I see you and I call you Ahab, you'll know why.
I will second the motion.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, continuing on, let's see, we have member item 11C.
So I put this on here, so members may remember that previously I had brought forward 2 issues related to traffic safety. As part of those discussions and follow-up votes, referring it to staff, we had asked for staff to come back and update us on their progress. The first one with respect to the advisory signage, et cetera, we had also added other locations, including Packagug, and I know Mr. Carpenter had several locations that he asked as well. And that was in July 21, 2025. The first one is even older. We took this up in October 15, 2024. So over 14 months ago. And we had asked again for the location of 5 intersections. Now I know they've done work at some of these intersections. I would love for staff to come back as requested, update us so that we can say great job on some of these intersections. I mean, they have done work, but until they report back to us, we can't discuss it with them. We can't bring it up. I was hoping by putting this on there, it might spur staff to say, oh yeah, we were supposed to come back and we would see Director Paquin and Chief Mills and others, here to provide information. But I guess without that, I'm asking for a vote by this board to once again ask staff to come back on a future agenda as determined by the chair to provide us input or report back on what they did in response to this. So we are made aware and we can discuss it at that time, ask for additional information or different additional actions if necessary. But I don't like that things just sitting out there. We're asking for report backs and we're not getting it. And these 2 cases that came to mind where I wanted to bring it back up.
Okay.
I may,
Yep.
through the chair. We will be bringing this to you at the end of January, as I had stated to you earlier when I saw you, to provide you an update on all of these issues listed here, but also to provide ongoing updates through all of the departments through various times throughout the year. I don't anticipate you're going to have the same type of issues, but we're not perfect, and you'll see something, I'm sure, drop through the cracks. But these particular issues that are outlined here, I didn't want to rush and have them come to this meeting and not be completely prepared. It's a lot of information, so they will be here at the next meeting for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd. All right, now we look at minutes. We have been sent minutes, and we have them printed for September 29th, 2025.
Chair, I'm going to ask that we hold the minutes. I did read them, but I need to go through them again.
Madam Chair, may I ask, did anyone sign up for the second round of public comment?
No.
Can I take this time to ask for a future item? I'd like to, I know we had some budget talk and we have some things in the pipeline for future discussions, but I'd like to put an agenda item on to maybe discuss having, through the budget process, a second budget where we're talking about some significant cuts and not just the proposed budget that we're used to seeing. And I know the town manager has to go through with her department heads and talk about cuts, but for us to talk about items that we would like to see what it would look like, what a reduced service level may be, and some areas of potential. I know we have contractual obligations to many of the departments, but I just want to say in a future item, as we're talking there, maybe we can have those discussions out.
Okay, can you put that in writing?
Sure.
And email that to me, please?
Certainly.
And I'll talk to the town administrator and see what's required from any department heads.
Before we leave that topic, in July of last year, we did ask, or Mr. Chambers brought it up, a request to have the differentiation between what is required in the budget and discretionary, what percentage. So I would just ask that as we go through this process, that town administration identify those clearly in the budget book so that, again, I think Mr. Chambers touched on this and Mr. Crane as well. People are concerned about money. Their budgets are getting tighter. I think we're all feeling it. And this might be part of that discussion. So I would just ask that.
I would also ask, please, that often department heads would like some other things, but can't because they have a fixed number in the budget. So maybe the items that they would like to see also, not just what they would, not just discretionary.
Madam Manager, if I can just clarify, just on that note, I believe what you're going to present, and I believe you told this to the Finance Committee, and that's where I heard it, was that you're going to present the department head ask and your recommendation so that we can see that delta and see where they differ. And that will allow us the ability, something we haven't seen before, to get a better understanding of what they're looking for versus what they're getting in your recommendation.
That is correct. I can take it one step further, as Mr. Chambers has recommended, and show, let's just say, two sets of numbers per se. One that is their original request and what I am going to recommend to the board.
Yep.
And then another one will be their original request, but it's just going to show contractual obligations, heating, oil, like things that we have to have to function in government. There will be a loss of services associated with that type of reduction, but I think it's a good way to show what money is going towards. So I'm not against that. I would use the same exact forms. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I can show them two different ways with the same information and just show what's contractual, what do we need to increase next year, and then you'll also see like a percentage that is more discretionary funding per se, but it gets a little gray. Is money put aside to repair the copier when it's breaking? If it breaks, is that discretionary? Like those types of things are a little bit gray, but I think the big items, the big dollar items, I'll be able to delineate pretty easily.
Thank you.
And I don't want to discuss too much more, but as the agenda item, but I do want to make sure that we're talking about not just discretionary, but hey, we could do this and this is the impact to service. So as a community, we can decide, is it worth that dollar value or can we reduce that service level? And I know we've had department heads come in here and talk about services they provide. And I know the, summer camps and the amount of participation, and I'm happy to see the library has increased their hours, and like that's exciting. Those are town benefits. If we didn't have them, what would the bill look like? And I'm not even saying those items cost, but if participation rate's low in certain things, what are the impacts if we, talk about removing that service or talk about better ways to do it? And I know we've had many discussions about technology and improving that, and there are many efficiencies out there. So as the town manager's having her discussions with the department heads, I'd love to see the efficiencies that can be gained with some investment and talk about long-term. I know it's not going to get cheaper, and I don't expect the budget to go down, but I do want to talk about slowing that growth, and hopefully things get back into a more systematic economic condition where we can predict things better and get the support from our state and federal governments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.